Hello and welcome to the David Akers Guitars YouTube channel. I'm going to walk through just an average setup with you today. I haven't put out a video in a while, and I figured some people may be able to pick up a few tips off of this video. This is a first act guitar that I am setting up for my nephew. And that right there is one of the main problems this guitar has, is the neck pitch. So that's one of the first things we're going to be correcting, is that neck pitch. To explain a little bit about what that is, this is a bolt-on neck, so it's probably about the easiest to correct there is out there. And here I'm going with a straight edge to show you what I'm talking about. Lay a straight edge on the frets to kind of simulate the maximum, or I guess minimum, string height. That's the lowest your strings are going to be able to go, because that's your fret height. If you'll look, we're contacting the middle of the saddle right there, so that's going to result in a pretty ridiculous playing action. So first thing we're going to do with this guitar is pop the neck off and create a shim to go inside there. What we're going to do is shim it on the side towards the body so that it kind of kicks the neck backwards, and it'll get us in better line. And nothing real complicated going on right here, just popping the neck, and I'm making a shim out of some scrap maple I have. And the shim does not have to be wooden and does not have to be fabricated in this way. You can actually use something as simple as like a guitar pick or a coin or something in there would even work, I guess. You just need a spacer on that end. And it took me a couple tries here to get it pretty close, and I actually ended up having to adjust it a bit later also. Quick note there, I'm using that drill on low power because you do not want to strip the screw holes. And the straight edge is being used here just to check that the height is good. Right there it's too high, so I make the shim thinner. I've covered this in a few videos already, but cleaning your fretboard like this can really give you a huge benefit in how smooth the guitar plays. And it's still fairly simple to do. 400 grit sandpaper, 800 grit sandpaper, and some 4-aught steel wool works great. You can also use a couple different variants of sandpaper. You just need to end up on like a 600 or 800, something like that. You need to be careful with that steel wool as well. It needs to stay far and away from any electronics. This cutting board oil is my favorite for fingerboards, but you can use anything like mineral oil, lemon oil, or any commercial fingerboard treatment that you can buy at your local music store. Will work as well. Giving the guitar a look over, the pots were loose in the body, and as is often the case when you find this and the pot moves around like that as someone's turning, you run into a situation where wires are loose as well. So what I'm doing now is just retightening that and get those wires resoldered to the correct positions. Using this shop towel here just to protect the finish of the guitar from any splatters of solder. And just resoldering those wires here. I do have a video that goes into much greater detail on the wiring if you need that, like a beginner's level video. So I went to adjust the action here, and that shim was still too thick. My action was raised up way above the saddle, so I just took it out, thinned the shim a bit more, and this time was the trick. Okay, so the drill was still on low power, putting those screws back in the second time also, and that's not going to be enough to keep the guitar in tune. So I put the 2 E strings on, and what I'm doing is checking the spacing to make sure I'm good. And now that I see that I am, I will crank those down by hand a little bit more. Again, you don't want to strip those holes, but they need to be good and snug. Here, all I'm doing is using a gauge or a ruler or any kind of scale really to get a ballpark kind of idea where my action is going to sit and try to get it consistent across the radius of the fretboard. With the action ballpark, we're just going through the rest of the setup. And this truss rod needed to be snugged up a good bit. I think it got most of it around. And just rechecking that, rechecking action. And in a minute you'll see me recheck the nut slots. And that's the setup in a nutshell. I also have other videos that go into much greater detail of setting up an electric guitar and an acoustic guitar, so you can watch those. They're about a half an hour each, so not everybody's in for the long haul. This is just a condensed version of that process, but if you want more detail, like I say, those videos are about a half an hour long each, so you should be able to get what you need to know there. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate your time. Like and subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and we'll see you next time.